Hey, good afternoon, Bold. It's Steve Schleter here with your chapter on time and self-management. So, obviously, to make fun of myself, I should have done a better job managing our time, so you wouldn't be watching this video during class. But it's always a challenge in step 2. We've got so much great content to work through. So today it's Friday afternoon. I've just finished coaching calls, energized after some great accomplishments with some of our clients, and I want to go into time and self-management with you. So if you'll go into your material and go to page 39. Let's go to page 39 in your material today from step 2. So look at Diana's diamonds, and I want you to reflect. Anytime you see that, it's usually a great tidbit. And of course, what Diana really tells us is all we need to learn about time management, we learned in junior high school. And we learned that going from, in 7th grade when we had multiple classes, we learned the time block. We learned that in history, for 50 minutes, we did history. And then for English, we did 50 minutes of English. We never questioned what we should be doing. We had absolute clarity of what was demanded of that time. And so what we have today is not a time problem, we've got a clarity problem. And so getting clear of our goals, getting that question answered each and every day when we put our calendar together, or each and every week when we put our calendar together, what is it I choose to have happen this week? And make sure our calendar is a reflection of our goals and our intentions and what it is we choose to have happen in our business. Now, I want to go into the bottom of page 39 where Diana talks about the job description of a real estate agent. And one of the things I want you to start thinking about is thinking about what really is your job as an agent. I know our buyers and our sellers believe that our job description is to either sell the house or find them the perfect home. And from that view, that's what a real estate agent does. From our view, the job of a real estate agent is really 5 things. And the first thing, fill in the blanks on page 39, the first thing is lead generate. You've got to lead generate. And the number 2 is lead follow-up. Once we've got our lead follow-up and our lead generation working, we're going on appointments. The 4th thing is we negotiate contracts. And number 5 is we role play and practice, as Gary tells us. It's a vital part of being successful, is really knowing our dialogues, knowing our responses, and having the right conditioned responses that get us more contracts and more appointments. So those are the 5 pieces of a real estate agent's job description. Now, going on, we start thinking about what happens with our time, and I want you to start thinking about time as a series of sprints. Maybe even you take an hour and you block it into 10 6-minute sprints, each hour, and you sprint for 10 minutes, you just kind of catch your breath, sprint for another 10, and just working a series of sprints all day instead of this drudgerous marathon. And just be really clear, what do I choose to have happen in the next 10 minutes? What do I choose to have happen? What do I choose to have happen? What outcomes are we looking for? It's a challenging world today. We're challenged to be super parents, super spouses, super career people, and frankly, we can't do it all at necessarily a super level. That's why right now I said get your family's help while you're going through Bold, to just underpin things so you can start to develop the muscle and the skills and not go so much into overwhelm. The bottom line, guys, is we're all going to die with a to-do list. We're not going to get it all done, yet there's always time to do the right things. Some things will go undone for a while. That's a challenge. Now, the way we get control of our time is we change the way we think about time. We've got to think that time is actually more valuable than money. Time invested well can create a fortune. Time invested unwisely can create disaster. So how we spend our time ultimately does matter. I love this quote from George Bernard Shaw. He says, people are always blaming their circumstances for where they are. He goes, I don't believe in circumstances. He says, the people who get on in this world are the people who get up and look for the circumstances that they want. And if they can't find them, they make them. And so it goes back again to clarity. What do I want? And then setting up my time accordingly. The challenge is we think too much like independent contractors sometimes versus CEOs that are really running our business. So we got really clear that to be a CEO, we've got to be clear of what are the priorities, what are the big rocks in our business, and they're the 5 pieces of the job description that we just went through. Now, we talked about procrastination earlier. What leads to procrastination? It's creating association that something is more painful in doing it than just having it done, until it becomes to a point where we feel like it's too painful not to get it done. And so the way we get past procrastination is going back to that pain and pleasure exercise and changing our associations, getting really clear of what's the consequence if I don't get it done, so that it becomes a priority for us. And we block it into our calendar and we're working into our schedule. And what do I get when it gets done? And getting really clear about what we want from our life, how we choose to have it show up. But frankly, it's the consequences that are going to move you. So be clear, what's at stake for me if I don't follow through and just simply follow through? Now, you've probably heard the old saying, Brian Tracy had a book, Eat That Frog. And essentially the frog is a reference point to the biggest task you have to do. And sometimes it's the one you choose to be avoiding because it's a big task, it's tough to take on. And one of the things that Brian Tracy says, especially when you got multiple frogs, he says, eat the biggest, hairiest, ugly one first. So take that biggest thing, the thing you're afraid to tackle. Lead generation is usually the big hairy frog, and make sure it happens first. Some people say, well, more people are home in the evening. It doesn't matter if you don't do it. So at the end of the day, we really say time block 9 to 11 for lead generation, 11 to 12 for lead follow-up. And that could be getting people back in your database, the follow-up promises you have to your database. But 9 to 11 minimum on the phone. And right now in bold, it's on the phone or it's face-to-face until you've made those 20 contacts and you really are full speed ahead. So what we're really talking about is not time management. We're talking about self-management. We're talking about disciplines in just a few key areas, and frankly being disciplined in that morning time, and setting that aside and getting those most important tasks done first. Failure to execute is really the biggest problem with the lack of dollars. It's the failure to take action. So, right now, if your money isn't where you choose to have it to be, look at, am I willing to execute? Every day, am I willing to do that thing first, that big, hairy, ugly frog, and eat it first and go ahead and take that on? Take on lead generation. Get your 20 contacts. And of course, Gary teaches us the 80-20 rule. He says that it's 20% of our activities that are going to dictate 80% of our results. And so what he would say is spend 80% of your time in the 20% to give you 80% of your return. And that would only make sense, wouldn't it? So the bottom line, it's not what you put in the hours. It's not the hours you put in. It's what you put in the hours that makes the biggest difference. Now, the 4D solution on page 41. The 4D solution says, okay, just decide when you've got something, some things you can dump it. Maybe you just don't have to do it. You choose not to do it. Maybe you delegate it. Maybe it's something you need to let go of. Some things can be delayed. They don't have to be done. In fact, I've got so many things that I've delayed that I'm never going to go do that weren't really important. Seemed like I might go back and do them at one point, but now they're not really necessary. They'll just be on that to-do list I die with, in the end. And then, of course, some things you just do it now. It's just, boom, it's most productive to do it now, make a difference, except unless it's lead generation, you don't do anything else during that lead generation block. So as humans, we have choices, and it's just a matter of making great choices. Jim Rohn, great philosopher, says when it comes to time management, he says, we're all going to suffer one of two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Now, I want you to write this down. We're going to suffer one of two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And he said the pain of discipline weighs ounces, the pain of regret weighs tons. So let's not suffer the pain of regret. Let's just suffer the minor pain of discipline so we can move forward and get the results that we want. Now, one of the things that we're going to do now is I'm going to set up another video that I'm going to have you watch on calendaring. I'm going to ask you to set up your bold calendar, which essentially you've got some non-negotiables. You're going to time block in the morning for lead generation. I want you to color code it. Green for dollar productive, things that lead to business. Yellow for things that you could or should delegate. And then pink or blue, your choice, for personal only things you can do or business only things you can do, things you can't delegate at this point in your life. Running out of time on this video, so that's it. Go ahead and watch the video on calendaring. Bring your calendar to class. All right, bye.